All right, let's see. Can everybody hear me? Welcome to the live, Rob. I saw your message the other day. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. Hi, Jay Meister, Elizabeth, Fruit Loop, Sherry, and of course me. What's up, Savage Games? Gonna wait a few seconds. Maybe a few more people will come in. So I've been watching this whole escaped inmate thing. Just kind of like I've been covering it in depth on Twitter and on Facebook. If you guys want to go over there and catch up on that, I've been like posting back to back about these every time something comes out. So just watching the development of the case, like they went from she's a victim, maybe she was kidnapped, to now they're on board with her being full on accomplice, which I kind of knew that from the very first article that came out, and I'm going to tell you why in just a minute. See, I pick up on red flags pretty easily, and I don't understand how they didn't really pick up on that at first, or maybe they did, but they didn't want to just like out and out say that since she's a corrections officer, and she has like so many years of experience and such a flawless track record, employee record. They said she doesn't have any marks or blemishes on her record, so maybe they just really wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt based on the person that they've known all these years. But when I read that first article, I was like, yep. I gotta get like a sound thing for red flags, like oh, here we go, stuff popping up. I'm gonna put a poll up here, guys. So here we go. Do you guys think that she is a full-on accomplice? Do you think that she was forced, like she was threatened, her family was threatened, something like that? Or do you think she was brainwashed or manipulated? Maybe she thinks she's in love, da, da, da. And so thinking she's in love, she kind of went along with this. Oh, I'm seeing 75% saying full on accomplice. 80% full on accomplice. PJ, hey. 67%. What's the rest of the crew saying? Let me see here. All right, so we're kind of divided 67% to 33% between full on accomplished and brainwashed or manipulated. Okay. Guys, if my background gets a little too noisy, just let me know. I saw they found a vehicle earlier today, and apparently it was at some tow yard. Frank, there's my Frank. They found it abandoned in the woods and it was locked. Okay, so this is why red flags went up for me. The first article that came out, are you serious? So my whole computer just shut down. We don't worry about that. Thank God I'm on the tablet. So the first article that came out said that she it pointed out that she was transporting the inmate alone. In the first article, they also said that the mental health exam that she was supposedly taking him to never existed, and that the doctor's appointment she said she was going to never existed. So with those three things, bells just started going off in my head. First of all, you have to look at who this guy is, right? He's already sentenced in one case and to a 75-year prison term. He was brought back from state prison to the county jail so that he can stand trial on capital murder charges, which means he's looking at life without parole, possibly the death penalty. Well, that makes him a high profile or high security inmate right there. The protocol in almost any county jail for a high profile or high security inmate is going to be automatically what they call a two-man move, meaning that there has to be a minimum of two corrections officers to move this inmate, whether you're moving him from one cell to another cell, whether you're moving him from his cell block to uh, the medical facility in the jail, whether you're moving him from the jail to another location, such as court or an outside medical appointment. It's almost always going to be automatically a minimum of a two-man move. Sometimes they will require four or more people to move them. Duty Ron did a good job of explaining how a four-man move works. He explained it that when they were transporting a certain inmate when he was still active duty, that it was required that they have a four-man move. They had two officers who walked in front of the inmate, one officer that walked with the inmate side by side, and one officer that walked behind the inmate, kind of keep an eye on the back end. So the fact that she was transporting this guy alone was the first red flag. Then looking at the video, the way that she opened the door, she was ahead of him. Her back was to him. At no point did she have a hand on him to control him, to guide him, to make sure that he didn't try to make a break for it. And it looked like the bay where the car was an open bay. It looked like it opened directly into the outside world. Usually, those bays will have those metal doors that come down, kind of reminiscent of how these storefronts have those metal like curtains that they pull down over the front of the store when they're closed. But they have those big doors that come down on either side of the bay to cut that direct access to the outside world. From the way, as bright as it was and what I could see on the edges of the screen, it looked like the bay was just straight open. He could have took off running if he wanted to. Okay, then you have the way that she would put him in the car. Whenever officers put you in the car, and you can go back and watch any episodes you want to watch of Cops, of Live PD, or any other police show, you'll see that when they put a person in a car, they have at least one hand on them, and then they'll put a hand on top of the person's head to keep them from bumping their head on the frame of the car. She didn't do any of that. None of that. She didn't reach in and put his seatbelt on him, which they're supposed to put a seatbelt on you if they're transporting you in a patrol car like that. She didn't do that. She just went around to the side of the car, got in, and they took off. So red flags all over the place. Now, I question how it is that they could have even made it out of this county jail like that, because when you move an inmate from a county jail, especially if they're going to another location, and which means they have to be in the outside world, transported in a vehicle or whatever, when you move it in, there has to be paperwork. Like, they don't even, If you're, say, in pod one in the county jail, that's your cell block, before they even move you, if they change your bed and then put you in pod two, there is paperwork. There has to be paperwork showing this inmate needs to go from this point to that point. This is why they're going. This is where they're going. This is what time they need to be there, blah, blah, blah. So somebody really dropped the ball by not checking paperwork, especially on an inmate that was going outside of the facility. Later on came the information that two van loads of inmates had already left going to the courthouse. One had 7 inmates on it and one had 5 inmates on it. And then after those left, she called for him to come down to be transported. Now, I get that she was like the top of the command chain as far as transportation. She's the one who basically ran the show on transporting inmates. But when it comes to something like that, that's something that I just don't understand how anyone could have not questioned that. Where's your paperwork? Where's the other officer? Where's, the order for this inmate to be transported? That's something that should have been looked up automatically when he was called for. Like, regardless to who was calling for him. Because most of the time, if they're calling up to the floor to get an inmate brought down for transport, they're not going to call on the radio and say, Officer so and so needs this inmate to be transported to court. They're just going to say, bring inmate so and so down for transport. So it's not as if anyone at that point would have said, oh, it's her, I don't need to double check this. So that him being called down for transport should have automatically initiated a chain of events that verify where he was going and why. Somebody should have been looking on a computer. So, yeah, just red flags all around. So I never thought that she was any type of victim or whatever. I always felt like she was fully on board with it. So the thing that's getting me now is how they just basically fell off the map and nobody can find them. They're finding stuff after the fact. After the fact, they found out about the car. After the fact, they found the car abandoned. After the fact, they found out about the hotel room that she was checked into. But as far as where they are right now, what direction they're headed in right now, or what it looks like, they really don't know. Other than a basic general direction, which would be whichever direction you have to go from Alabama, where he disappeared, to where they found the car in Tennessee. In Williams, was it Williams? That's a good question. Why was no one watching the cameras? Because there's like really no reason that any of this should have went down the way that it went down. All right, let's see here. Let me check the chat real quick. She came with a warning. Like, oh, Frank. Frank's talking about something else. Frank, who are you running out of the chat calling them riffraffs now? Fruit Loop made a good point. She has put the public in danger, which is what makes it so. Which is what makes me so angry. Okay, you're right. She really did. She didn't really consider. I don't think she really considered how dangerous this guy is. He's already killed somebody. He already has a violent track record. He's killed a dog for no reason. Just I kind of feel like maybe at first it was manipulation, but here's the thing: you know right from wrong, and she apparently has over 20 years of work history right here with this same county sheriff's office, on the correction side for the last 16 or 17 years, and on like dispatch or some other administrative or whatever, for the first few years. So she has a lot of experience and training. She's heard a lot of stories in the workplace about how these things happen, how they go down, how inmates act. So there's no reason that she should have made the choices that she made. At some point, it boils down to, even though somebody was filling your head with whatever lies or dreams or whatever, you know right from wrong. You know that you are not supposed to break somebody out of jail. You know that if someone is pending a murder trial, that they're probably dangerous as heck. Now, my one concern is that he's going to end up killing her because he's a career criminal. You know what I'm saying? He kind of knows how to duck and dodge or whatever. She's been on the good side of the law as far as we know all this time. More than likely, it's going to come a point where he feels like she's slowing him down or she's going to get him caught. And hey, look, you got to go. So that is every time like a headline comes out, I swear I get like an ache in the pit of my stomach because I think that I keep thinking the next headline that comes out is going to be they found her deceased. I'm really wondering how it is that they've managed to avoid any like recent spottings because they really are a mismatched and outstanding couple. She's like 5'5", fairly petite in height, and he's like 6'9". So you've got like a giant and a dwarf walking together, elf, whatever. I didn't mean that derogatorily when I said dwarf, but fairy tales. Super tall, super short. Anyway, you got these two walking around together, or even in a car. Even in a car at 6'9", you be able to tell that this dude is super tall. This is a big boy. He's not some little skinny, scrawny little thing. They're saying he's between 250 and 330. That's some meat on them bones. So I'm really curious as to how they've avoided like public contact. How nobody saw them or noticed them on the drive from Alabama to wherever they ditched the car in Williamson County. Of course, it could also be that they're just holding everything tight, close to the vest, since this is such a very sensitive case. Like it's really critical that these two are caught. Um, so it's alleged that they're using a wheelchair with him dressed as a woman. That would still be very awkward. He's a big old one. He's a big old boy. He's gonna be an extra big woman. Ain't nobody gonna miss that. If that's their plan, that ain't too bright. Smooth, hey. Yeah, but the wheelchair, yeah, I think wheelchair is a good possibility. Frank says he would have had a meet point with someone there. She would have been set up. I can see that a couple of different ways. Yeah, somebody has to be helping them because they're too recognizable. Their faces are out there too much. So at the very least, they had to have been meeting with someone who's going to drive them so that they can hide in the back of the vehicle or something. And her being set up, that's a possibility. It remains to be seen. Freeman says he's no Mrs. Doubtfire. Definitely not. Okay. Um, Let me try to pull these windows back up. I'm not sure why this computer keeps shutting down. It's been doing this like all day. It'll just shut down every so often. Let me try something here before I even get started on it again, and maybe I can uh, avoid it shutting down. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with this thing, but it's okay. Its days are numbered. So I really want to share some videos on this. There's so much out there about this case. And I really want to put their faces up here so I know everybody knows what they look like by now, but you know, that's no reason not to keep putting their faces out there if they really need to be seen. Oh, are you already on the road, folks? Traveling Mercies. I've been kind of out of the loop today, so I didn't know. I've just been posting stuff as it comes through, but I haven't really been looking at or reading anything other than news articles. Because for me, this case is like intriguing. It's almost like a soap opera or something. And you'd be surprised how often inmates and officers actually get into relationships. But yeah, you'd be surprised how often they actually get into relationships, and it's not just desperate female officers and male inmates. It's female officers and male inmates, male officers and female inmates, female and female, male and male. And if you were to take the time to look up, and I don't think these stats would actually be available, but there's a very high rate of female inmates in state and federal prisons who are prescribed birth control. And I know that birth control is sometimes used, it's prescribed for things other than actual birth control. It's prescribed for different conditions because it can affect a woman's monthly cycle, stop it or slow it down or whatever, cause it to be less painful if they suffer with like endometriosis. So there are a lot of medical reasons that a person would be prescribed like birth control, especially a hormonal birth control. But if they had the stats on how many female inmates are prescribed birth control, you would say to yourself, there is no possible way that higher percentage of female inmates has some medical condition that requires birth control. Then you have so many women that pop up pregnant in prison. I wouldn't I would love to know how many female officers end up pregnant by inmates too. Like there really should be databases for this type of information. And checking the chat. All right. It's up and running. Let me get this pulled up because we need to watch the videos and see some pictures and see what's going on with this odd couple. So, what do you guys think? Love or lunacy? Is she crazy or does she really feel like she's in love? And I'm about to really give y'all something to talk about here in a second. And mind you, this is not a factual statement. This is just a thought. I saw this thought somewhere. And when I saw it, I was like, that would be really interesting. What if it turns out that she's actually his mother? Because she's 56 and he's 38. So she's 18 years older than him. I don't think that's possible. I'm sure it's not, but yeah, don't sue me because I'm just saying stuff. I mean, I'm not saying she's his mom. I'm saying I read that thought somewhere and I was like, that would be crazy. But wouldn't that be a crazy twist if it turned out that like she was his mom and gave him up for adoption or something, and then she found him and oh, let me break my son out of prison. That would be so crazy and so unexpected. So yeah, that's not very likely speculation, but yeah, it's fun speculation. I'll put it that way. It's fun speculation. All right, so let me get this tab up here. Might have been echoing for a second there. Share this tab. First, I want to put their faces on the screen. And Judge could very well. Yep, I did. I gave away wrenches for my birthday. Happy birthday! Have a wrench. Oh God, what did I do? Okay, share this one. So here we go. Casey White over here, Mr. Inmate, that's serving a whole ton of time. And Vicki White over here, who decided that it was a good idea to break this inmate out of jail. Copper was like, it looks like my chat in here. It usually is. It usually is. That was my birthday present to my subs because they have been so faithful. Even though I haven't really been able to grow the channel the way I wanted to right now, they have still stuck around, and I really appreciate it. And we're going to be doing some amazing things here very, very soon. As a matter of fact, we're already started. So these two, and this is the car that they were driving. So apparently, she sold her house, sold $250,000 house for $95,000. Boy, I wish I had a saw that list, and I swear to God, I would have came up with some money, some kind of way to get that house because that was a steal. But so she sold her house, liquidated everything, turned in her retirement papers. That day, the day that she helped him break out at 5 p.m., was supposed to be her last shift. Her retirement was supposed to go into effect at 5 p.m. So she was making her plans. I'm just trying. Did she really think that they were going to let her get a retirement once they figured out she had broke this dude out of jail? Like she turned in the papers, like maybe she was expecting 5 o'clock to hit before it was found out that she had, helped him escape. So technically, I'm officially retired by the time they discover what I did. So I'll get my retirement benefits. Are you kidding me? Not possible. She could not possibly have really thought that that was going to work out that way for the retirement. Or maybe she felt like that if she put in her retirement, then maybe she'd be less responsible legally. Like maybe she could get less time or a less severe charge if she got caught. Because as a corrections officer, I think there's extra charges that they can put on her for helping him to escape. So I don't know. I don't know what she was thinking. I don't know what she was thinking of going to break this dude out of jail to begin with. So yeah, she sold her house, liquidated her assets, bought this piece of junk car that has damage on the fender, and I'm thinking it had the damage on the fender when she bought it from listening to some of these different press conferences. So there's them. Now let's see what else we got here. Take that off the screen. I cannot remember my first sub. I never will remember my first sub because they are not. They weren't someone who subscribes publicly. So I just knew that I had a sub. I didn't know who it was. So next thing we want to look at. This is her, and they came up with this rendering to kind of give an idea of what she would look like if maybe she changed her hairstyle or changed her hair color. And there's another one that's out there that shows if she might have had shorter hair. This looks like as if she added extensions to it, what she might look like with darker hair and with extensions. Tell me about it. I can't believe this lady threw away her retirement to run away with a murderer and leave her elderly mother behind. Happy Mother's Day, Mom. Ain't that a jacked up Mother's Day present? Like, wow. And her mom did a press conference. Her mom looked so sweet. Like, I mean, that lady is probably terrified right now for her daughter. And I don't even want to say some of the things I'm thinking about that. But man, this chick ought to be ashamed of herself. Like, dead serious. Like, you can't do that kind of stuff. Frank, I will always remember you as my first sub on Savage Game. Okay, there was a not this one because they didn't show her face in this one. There's another one where her mother showed her face on the interview, and that's the one I'm trying to get to. But I'll play this one anyway. Yeah, it's terrible. Hold on, I gotta reshare this because I'm not sharing sound.
15 years now. She was even up for Employee of the Year several times. They're upset, they're concerned for her safety. Really, they never thought that this is something she would do. Again, you heard Sheriff Singleton say earlier today that this is not the Vicki White that they know and that they've worked with for years now. I want to go ahead and bring in Way 31's Nicole Sedek.
Oh,
Over the weekend,
good old
they
computer.
actually
Don't worry
Vicki
though.
White's mother.
We
This
only
is
have
an
to deal with
interview
this
that's been
computer for a little while longer,
on Way
guys.
31. Now, Vicki has been
Oh,
living
I've been working on the store too, on merch, on
with
some
her
channel
mother for the
merch for
last few
the
weeks. Nicole, tell us
Oh my God,
about
is
what
this
you've
thing
heard
gonna
from her
stop?
mother.
That's right, Marie. Now, Vicky's mother, Pat Davis, says
It's lagging so bad. But I've been working on some merch for the channel. I have the Be Their Voice stuff coming out first. You guys will be able to see that on Spring Tea day after tomorrow. I'll drop a link on Facebook, and I'll also put a link in the About section and some other like fun stuff. I put up some fun stuff today. It's just like some shirts and jerseys and stuff that says, "Yet despite the look on my face, you're still talking." So yeah, But the channel merch will be out. It's going to include some slides. It's going to include like shoes, little comfortable walking shoes, walking around the house, up in the store, whatever. It's going to have some sweatshirts, iPhone cases,
Employees, coworkers, they're just
AirPod
devastated
cases.
over
Here we
what
go.
happened, really in disbelief. Vicki White has been here with the Lauderdale County Jail as a corrections officer for about 17 years now. She was even up for Employee of the Year several times. They're upset. They're concerned for her safety. Really, they never thought that this is something she would do. Again, you heard Sheriff Singleton say earlier today that this is not the Vicki White that they know and that they've worked with for years now. I want to go ahead and bring in Way 31 and actually talked with Vicki White's mother. This is an interview you'll see only on Way 31. Now, Vicki has been living with her mother for the last few weeks. Nicole, tell us about what you learned from her mother.
That's right, Marie. Now, Vicki's mother, Pat Davis, says her daughter had been staying with her for 5 weeks now, ever since her daughter sold her home. But she didn't notice anything different about Vicki and even spoke to her the morning she went missing.
I talked to her that morning. She called to ask me about the dog because he'd been sick.
The last phone call Pat Davis had with her daughter, Vicki White, was a routine call about her dog.
I just called to check on him, just normal like. And then I texted her at 1 o'clock to tell her that I was cooking supper, but she didn't respond.
Vicki never returned home for supper and has been missing for more than 72 hours now. Davis says Vicki had been living at her house for the past 5 weeks, ever since Vicki sold her own house.
I told her she could stay as long as she wanted to because she was my daughter.
But she didn't notice anything different about her daughter, saying she kept up with her routine of waking up early, heading to work at the jail, and coming back home for dinner.
And I just didn't notice anything about her.
Vicki didn't talk about work much, never mentioning retirement to her mother and never bringing up inmate White.
She didn't say nothing to us about it.
Leaving her mother searching for answers.
This is just not her. It's just like a total day and night.
Davis says all she wants is for her daughter to return.
Yeah, you just don't do your mom like that. Like, what the heck? Copper Horse says even Bundy had that psychopathic charm. This guy just looks mean and bad. You're right. Like, some of these criminal guys you can kind of understand because like they're handsome or they're well spoken or they're like obviously charismatic, but then you get the ones like this one and you're like, what did you see? Like, goodness. I don't know. It's crazy. Um, I'm not gonna be on here too much longer. I just really wanted to kind of talk about this just a little bit. Let me see if they got anything new updated on this. That's not the right spelling. Okay, nothing new. Everything is from about an hour ago, and wow, 8 days already. Doesn't even seem like that. It's crazy. We're not going to watch the press conference. Basically, they found the car, and that's it. They didn't find them, but they found the car. No, Frank, not on the streets taking drugs. What you're gonna do is you're gonna go and find some other content because there are wonderful creators on YouTube. There's PJ, there's Sherry, there's Sleuth Mom. Ra, are you still in here, Ra the creator? You have a channel, do you? If you're still in here? Yeah, he does. He's got some jacked up tattoos. So yeah, he probably actually does have a lot of help from gang related, probably Aryan Nation, because he has a an SS tattoo on his arm and some other stuff, that rebel flag and all that, correct Confederate flag, whatever you want to call it. So he probably does have some help that maybe law enforcement should look a little deeper into. And with him being in and out of prison, in and out of jail, he probably does have ties to Aryan Nation. Especially they were saying that he didn't want to be in prison because he got shanked twice. And I can imagine that when he got shanked twice, he was not affiliated with anyone who could protect him or would protect him. So he probably ended up, joining up just for protection to keep from getting killed. So if that's the case, then they might very well be helping him uh, with his being on the run or whatever. Only time will tell. Yeah, she met him about 2 years ago when he was in jail on the original charges that cornbread mafia. But yeah, when he was in jail on the original charges that he got the 75 years on is when she met him. And then when he went to prison, she had been visiting him at the prison, talking to him on the phone, different things like that. And so they developed this special relationship. And yeah, Fruit Loop, a lot of this stuff that's coming out does make him even more scary because, I mean, we've all heard the stories, seen the true crime stories that involve some of this stuff. Yep, and the fact that he himself is a murderer. So really, he don't even need no help. He's being scary anyway. He's scary all by himself. I don't understand how she herself didn't see red flags. I mean, she's been working in corrections this long on the corrections side, 16 or 17 years. So I know that in those 16 or 17 years, she's seen other officers possibly get in trouble um for relationships with inmates. Yeah, I haven't heard if she had any children either, but I did hear that her husband recently died. I mean, maybe she's just not emotionally stable because of that. Maybe she hasn't gotten over that because when you lose a mate, it can be devastating and it can put you somewhere else entirely. So who knows? Maybe she is acting out of character. Maybe she isn't. But wait a minute. How recently did her husband die? Was it before or after she started up this whole special relationship with Mr. Murderer? Oh, they've been divorced since the late 90s. So, yeah, I know. I still think that there's no way that she just walked out of there like that. That whole thing just looked like a movie plot that you look at and you're like, they could have done a better job of scripting this. But then again, stuff happens like that, right? Like you would think that it has to be so sophisticated, whatever, and sometimes it's just this simple. I mean, kind of a comparison, like you would think that someone was going to go and steal like a big 90-inch TV out of Walmart, that they go through some complicated procedures, faking barcodes or whatever like that. They'll just walk out the door with it and nobody does anything. So that's kind of what she did. It's like Her version of stealing a big TV from Walmart, just walk out the door with it. Okay, so it is a fairly recent loss for her, and sounds like they were still on good terms if she was taking care of him while he was sick. So yeah, maybe that could play into it, into like her final decision to just throw everything to the wind. And yes, she could be lonely. I don't know. I really don't know what to think. I know it's definitely intriguing. I mean, but I've been lonely before. I wouldn't go get a big giant murderer to keep me company, especially one that I had to break out of jail and risk my life for. Because basically, they're advertising them as armed and dangerous. Like they're telling us they got AR-15s, they got shotguns, they got 9 millimeters. So they're basically telling us don't run up on them, they go get killed. And you know how law enforcement acts when they've been advised that their suspects are armed and dangerous. So what do you think is going to happen? I'm almost 100% sure. Then also, on top of that, this is what I'm really sure about this. This man, when he pulled that attack on his ex and her roommates, he pulled an attack on his ex and his roommates. He thought that his ex-girlfriend was involved with one of the people that she was roommating with. Ran up in the house with 2 guns, end up pistol whipping some people. That's when he killed the dog. Actually, Elizabeth, I think this is what he's charged with, not the allegedly. I think this is what he's actually convicted on. But yeah, ran in the house, attacked the roommates, all this other stuff, and killed the dog, right? So he's already violent, and the police know about this. Now, fast forward to today, him and her are on the run, advertised as armed and dangerous with a mini arsenal of weapons. After that attack on the girlfriend, what he said was that he wanted to kill her and then have the police kill him. And his only regret was that neither of those was successful. He didn't manage to kill her, and the police didn't kill him. And he's also said that if he ever gets out, he's going to kill that woman, the original ex girlfriend. So I am 100% sure that whenever they are found, bullets are going to fly. I'm 100% sure it's gonna be like a old western shootout whenever they're discovered. And that's always a possibility too. If his half brother is also into criminal activity, he could be helping it. Possibly speculation, allegedly. Hmm. Well, let me get out of here. I might come back later. If anything new develops in this case, I will definitely come back later. But yeah, Bonnie and Clyde. It might be a Bonnie and Clyde ending. I mean, because pretty much she just threw everything to the wind. Might as well take it all away, ride or die, like they say. I mean, this just—it's ridiculous. Like, who does this? Exactly. I'm not having any kind of sympathy for her, and I'm not even gonna add the yet to it because she was fully aware of what she was doing. She knew it was dead wrong. She knew it was dead wrong. She knew what type of person he was. She knew his background, the things that he had done, the people that he had harmed, the people that he had killed. She knew all of this was going on, and yet she broke him out of prison. She had to be fully aware because, I mean, if he's going to trial right there in that county, whatever happened, happened in that county. So that's a small place. So you know it was all over the news, all the details. It was the talk of the town. So she knows, if nothing else, she knows she knows the details or enough of the details of the murder charge that he's facing trial for that she should have never done something like this. It's crazy, man. So yeah, there they go. Bonnie and Clyde. And let's hope that they are caught sooner rather than later. We scroll down just a little bit so we can get a better picture. I'm wondering what they're in now, what they're driving in now. Like we were kind of discussing, there has to be somebody helping them. So I'm willing to bet they're in some type of van or SUV with someone else driving and they're hunkered down in the back. Yeah, I can't think of any reason to give her the benefit of the doubt. And I can understand why her like bosses and the sheriff and stuff are trying to give her the benefit of the doubt in the beginning, but it's really clear now that this was not she was not forced, manipulated, none of that stuff. She did exactly what she wanted to do. She probably helped mastermind the plot because who else would have he wouldn't have known how to get him out of that jail. Only she would have known that. So that part is 100% on her. Yeah, too soon for the fishies. Too soon for the fishies jokes. But sadly, that's probably the reality. She's probably either not with us anymore or not long for this world because that dude is not about. He went through all this to break out of jail. Do you think he's going to let her slow him down if it comes to that? Do you think he's going to risk getting caught behind her? It would be easier just to get rid of her. So, yeah. Okay, I really am out of here this time, guys. I swear, I swear, I swear. I really am out of here this time. Sound check. Check your ears.